Adrien. Andre.
Can't sit right there.
Twins.
Before Adrien Broner became a professional boxing champ, winning 2 lightweight titles as well as 2 welterweight titles. Before Adrien Broner amassed a large social media following with 257,000 followers on Twitter, as well as over 1 million on Instagram at the time of this recording. Before Adrien Broner embarked on a hip-hop career, dropping several singles on YouTube and even freestyling on Sway in the Morning.
It sounded like she beatboxing. Keep it to yourself or keep the 100, that's 10,000.
Before Adrien Broner was squaring off against Manny Pacquiao for the title and kept it humble even after losing.
What did you think about the fight?
I beat him. Everybody out there know I beat him.
Adrien Broner has been a force in the sports of boxing since 2008. Seriously, nicknamed The Problem, this guy has been an issue for anybody looking to make a name for themselves in competitive boxing for the better part of a decade. Outside of the ring, you may know him for his larger-than-life antics, his rocky relationship with Floyd Mayweather, or his run-ins with the law. But his come-up story is even more remarkable than his achievements after fame. Starting his journey as a young kid, Adrien's neighborhood gym served as a safe haven from the brutal realities of the streets. Defeating numerous opponents on his way up the ladder, Adrien was on his way to possibly competing in the 2008 Olympics when the temptation of these same streets, well, they got the best of him. He was so wrapped up in crime at the time that his mom told him he could either be king of the streets or king of the ring. At just 17 years old, Adrien was arrested by police for aggravated robbery and assault. Charged as an adult, he was facing 57 years in the penitentiary. Sitting in his cell and writing rap lyrics, well, he began contemplating his possibilities if he was ever given a second chance. Woo! Yeah, we're just getting started. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Michael McCrudden, documenting the life and career of Adrien Broner prior to fame. Here for you, of course, on Before They're Famous. Now, we've covered many an athlete here on this channel. Conor McGregor, I know that one needs an update, but of course we've done Floyd Mayweather, we've done Manny Pacquiao, also needs an update. We even took a crack at Tenshin Nakasakawakawa. Can't say his name for the life of me. Anyways, be sure to check out any of those. Check out our playlist on athletes. Now let's get into Adrien Broner. Here we go. Sorry about butchering your name, Tenshin. Nasakawa. He's old news anyway. Hey, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell. Boom!
Look at Adrien, boy. Look at that little motherfucker.
Adrien Broner was born on July 28, 1989 in Cincinnati, Ohio. He and his twin brother Andre were brought up by his parents, Dorothy and Thomas. The twins are just 2 out of 12 kids belonging to their father. Compared to other dangerous US cities, Cincinnati is perhaps not as well known for its high crime rates. Nevertheless, this is a reality Adrien knew all too well, coming up in the city's Fairmount neighborhood, living with his family in a tiny home on the corner of Scully and Knox Street. Adrien stated, "Growing up in Cincinnati, it was rough, but I didn't know much. I was a kid still, so I still had fun everywhere I went." Many of Adrien's family members were involved in criminal acts. He even claims that his uncles, they were drug lords, and he would witness them counting up to $100,000 in stacks while just sitting in their living room. Now, Adrien and Andre, they had an infatuation for music from the age of just 6. Their uncle ran several recording studios, and the two brothers, they would spend many of their days soaking up the hip-hop knowledge. He even moved the studio into his family house. Now, while Adrien tried his best to be a normal kid, there were some realities of the streets that he just couldn't avoid.
At night you're gonna hear shooting. That's why I don't like being home, man. It's too much going on.
Adrien and the rest of the kids in the family would constantly find themselves in mischief. Adrien in particular would find himself receiving whoopings at the hands of their mother Dorothy. Now, their father Thomas stated that he would always be attending juvenile court to bail Adrien out of trouble. As a result, Thomas would introduce both Adrien and Andre to the world of boxing, believing that they would harness their aggression, well, into something useful. The father would take the twins into the backyard where he would pit them against other willing neighborhood kids in a boxing match. Over time, all of Thomas's children would put the boxing gloves on, but none showed accuracy quite like Adrien and Andre. He decided to bring the twins to Millvale Recreation Center on the corner of Millvale and Beekman to train with a man by the name of Mike Snafford. Thomas told Mike that he had 2 sons that could kick any other kid's ass. in the gym. Like any boxing trainer worth their salt, well, Mike, he took the Broner twins to the test.
A lot of memories, blood, sweat, and tears in this gym.
Mike Stafford was extremely focused on helping underprivileged youth out of dangerous situations by bringing them into the gym to train. With first-hand knowledge of Cincinnati's decline, he knew that boxing could be a productive outlet for kids to release aggression. In some cases, it was the deciding factor in whether many would live or die. Looking back on Adrien's come up, well, Mike has stated, "When Adrien was 8 years old, I'd drive a van out of his neighborhood and there'd be 20 or 30 kids trying to get to the gym. I make some of them run down to the gym because they couldn't all fit. Out of all the kids, there's only about 4 or 5 left. The rest are dead or in jail or running the streets. Adrien's one of the only ones left." Because of Adrien's young age at the time, he was forced to step into the ring with opponents much bigger than him in weight. Now Mike took young Adrien under his wing and together they would embark on a fight to the top of boxing. Because Adrien was much smaller than many of his opponents, Mike admits to sometimes putting weights under his trainees' clothes or making his pants wet. This way he could still make the proper weight. Adrien would train day in, day out, and it got to the point where he was so dedicated to the gym, he would sometimes even ask the coaches if he could sleep there. While a few other young fighters who trained under Mike Stafford were more successful in the amateur ring, none showed the passion Adrien did. When other coaches would advise Mike to go easier on 14-year-old Adrien's body, well, Adrien himself would step in and give them a piece of his mind. Things were looking bright for the up-and-comer, but in Cincinnati, sometimes old habits, well, they'd linger in the rear.
I mean, what can I say? I was wild. I was wild. When I was younger, I was wild. You know, I've watered down a lot.
Adrien would spend much of his teens in the streets engaging in criminal activities such as drug trafficking. He was even stealing automobiles around the area, something his dad warned would catch up to him. In 2005, Adrien was picked up for cocaine possession. He was convicted with conspiracy to distribute, with the sentence of 3 years in prison looking like a possibility. Looking back on his criminal past, well, he stated, "I know where I come from, I came from nothing, and I have a chance to do something that happens once in a lifetime. There are only a couple people who can say that they're a world champion, a multimillionaire, and a successful superstar. I don't want to mess this up. Ever." It was easier said than done, however. Adrien would have numerous run-ins with the law, including one for possession of an unregistered weapon, as well as another for aggravated robbery and assault. Facing almost 60 years in the can, he realized that his life would be destroyed and all the hard work he did as a fighter, well, it would go down the drain. Adrien was sent to county jail where he was on 23-hour lockdown. Awaiting trial, he sat in his cell writing rhymes into his notebook as a way to pass the time. It was in this state of deep thought that something occurred to him.
I put the pen, I'm like, let's say I beat this shit. What am I gonna do?
Realizing that a career in rap music was a long shot and hustling on the streets had been played out, well, Adrien was left with, well, not many options. Since he had made the most progress in boxing, fighting in 300 amateur matches, he decided then and there that fighting, it was his future. As it turns out, Adrien's prayers were answered. On May 31st, 2018, Adrien made his professional debut against Alante Davis at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in his hometown of Cincinnati. As for the rest of the story, well, you gotta cut me some slack, guys. We're doing this before they're famous. This isn't while he was famous. So the rest of the story, well, you know the story because this is before they're famous. Of course, you know how we do here on this channel. Maybe in a year or so, we'll look back and update this and go in more depth. But for now, I feel like we've really hit the mark. Also, Adrien Broner, if you're watching this video, give your boy McCredden a retweet. You could really appreciate the support. Also, sorry about your loss. I was betting on you. So, you know, yeah, we both lost. I'll see you guys in another video. If you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications. See you guys in the next one. Boom! That felt good.